The myth of Achilles and the Trojan War. The sun rises over the sprawling plains of Troy, casting golden light on the battlefield that stretches before the great city walls. The air is thick with the scent of blood and dust, and the sound of clashing swords fills the ears of gods and mortals alike. At the forefront of the fighting stands a warrior unlike any other, a towering figure clad in gleaming armor, his spear poised to strike. Achilles, the greatest of the Greek heroes, moves with an unstoppable force, his every step a testament to his unmatched strength and skill. Yet, as the battle rages on, a shadow of fate looms over him, for even the mightiest of warriors are not immune to the whims of destiny. This is the tale of Achilles and the Trojan War, a story of valor, rage, and a hero's tragic downfall. The myth of Achilles and the Trojan War is one of the most well-known and powerful stories from Greek mythology. It is a tale of courage and heroism, but also one of tragic flaws and inescapable fate. Today, we explore the life and legacy of Achilles, his role in the Trojan War, and the profound impact of his actions on the course of history. If you're fascinated by the epic battles of myth and the heroes who shaped them, make sure to like, subscribe, and leave your thoughts in the comments below. Let's dive into the legend of Achilles and the war that shook the foundations of the ancient world. Achilles was the son of the mortal king Peleus and the sea nymph Thetis, a union that brought together the divine and the human. Even as a child, Achilles was destined for greatness, but his mother Thetis knew that his fate would be filled with both glory and pain. To protect him from the dangers of mortality, she dipped him into the river Styx, a sacred river that was said to grant invulnerability to any who touched its waters. However, she held him by the heel, leaving that small part of his body untouched, making it the only vulnerable spot on his body, a weakness that would ultimately lead to his demise. As Achilles grew, so too did his reputation. He was raised by the centaur Chiron, who taught him the arts of war and wisdom. By the time the Trojan War began, Achilles was already a legendary warrior, feared by all who faced him. The Greeks, led by King Agamemnon, sought to bring an end to the war that had dragged on for 10 long years, and they called upon their greatest hero, Achilles. The war itself began over a dispute between the Greek king Menelaus and Paris, the prince of Troy. Paris had abducted Helen, the wife of Menelaus, and taken her back to Troy, igniting a conflict that would last a decade. The Greeks launched a massive expedition to reclaim Helen and exact revenge on Troy, and Achilles was one of their most vital assets. However, Achilles' role in the Trojan War was not without complications. Though he was a fierce and unstoppable force on the battlefield, he was also known for his pride and his temper. This would prove to be his greatest challenge. At the start of the war, Achilles and Agamemnon, the Greek leader, clashed over a woman named Briseis. Briseis, a captive Trojan woman, had been awarded to Achilles as a prize for his valor, but Agamemnon claimed her for himself. Furious at this insult to his honor, Achilles withdrew from the battle and refused to fight any longer. This decision would have disastrous consequences, both for Achilles and for the Greeks. With Achilles absent from the battlefield, the Trojans, led by their mighty prince Hector, began to gain the upper hand. The Greek forces were pushed back, and the tide of war seemed to be turning in favor of Troy. But Achilles' anger and pride were not easily swayed. His refusal to fight led to the death of his close friend and companion, Patroclus. Patroclus, dressed in Achilles' armor, had gone into battle to turn the tide in the Greeks' favor, but he was slain by Hector, the greatest of the Trojan warriors. The death of Patroclus was a turning point for Achilles. Grief-stricken and filled with rage, he vowed revenge on Hector and rejoined the war. His return to battle marked the beginning of a devastating onslaught. Achilles' fury was unmatched as he charged through the Trojan ranks, cutting down anyone who dared stand in his way. His battle with Hector was one of the most famous moments of the Trojan War. In a fierce duel, Achilles killed Hector and, in a fit of rage, dragged his body behind his chariot around the walls of Troy as a symbol of his vengeance. However, Achilles' wrath was not yet satisfied. The gods themselves took notice of his actions, and they intervened in the mortal realm. In one of the most tragic turns of fate, Achilles' invulnerability, once his greatest asset, became his downfall. The Trojan prince Paris, aided by the god Apollo, aimed his arrow at Achilles' vulnerable heel, the one spot on his body that had not been dipped into the river Styx. Paris' arrow struck true, and Achilles fell, mortally wounded. The death of Achilles marked the end of the greatest hero of the Trojan War. His funeral was a grand event, and his ashes were placed in a tomb alongside those of Patroclus. Despite his death, Achilles' legacy lived on. The Greeks eventually won the war, thanks in part to the actions of Achilles' son, Neoptolemus, who played a crucial role in the fall of Troy. The myth of Achilles is not just a story of war and heroism. It is also a story of pride, rage, and the consequences of unchecked emotion. Achilles' greatest strength, his skill as a warrior, was also the source of his greatest flaw, his pride. His refusal to fight over an insult to his honor nearly led to the destruction of the Greek forces. His unrelenting anger and thirst for vengeance, while driving him to extraordinary feats on the battlefield, ultimately led to his tragic end. The story of Achilles also highlights the idea of fate in Greek mythology. Despite his near invincibility, Achilles could not escape the destiny that had been woven for him. His death, like the death of many great heroes, was inevitable. The gods, though powerful, could not alter the course of fate that had been set in motion long before his birth. Achilles' legacy endures as one of the greatest figures in Greek mythology. His story has been told and retold through countless generations, inspiring works of art, literature, and philosophy. His life, filled with moments of glory and tragedy, serves as a powerful reminder of the human condition, the pursuit of greatness, the price of pride, and the inevitability of death. Thank you for joining us in exploring the myth of Achilles and the Trojan War. From his unmatched heroism to his tragic end, Achilles' story is one that continues to captivate and inspire. If you enjoyed this journey through Greek mythology, be sure to like this video, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below.